If you are one of the people who still buys physical copies of games or visits gaming retailer stores, then this story is for you. One of the most important names in UK gaming just raised a massive warning sign, and it could mean the end of physical game stores as we know them. This week, Game filed a serious legal notice that signals deep trouble behind the scenes. So if you like content like this from around the world, hit that subscribe button. I bring regular gaming news and content. Now let's get started. For those of you who don't live in the UK, Game or Game UK is kind of like GameStop, one of the biggest gaming retailers and one of the OG ones as well. They had those midnight launches, secondhand discs, consoles, and everything. You would go there, buy stuff off the shelf, browse for hours, and even have arguments about which stuff was better. I am not from the UK. One of my friends is from the UK, and he was the one who told me this. Let me know in the comments if this is real or not. Now, let's assume all this was real. I can see why having such a big franchise closing would be a big deal for many people. I also loved the gaming stores near my place. I would browse so many games. I was not allowed to go ham on spending too much on games when I was a kid, so I would just look at the covers and the screenshots. It was still a cool experience. The times when I did buy games were some of the happiest days back then. This week, Game, the store, you know what, just to avoid any misunderstanding, I will call it Game UK. So this week, Game UK filed something called Notice of Intention to Appoint Administrators. It sounds kind of serious and heavy, and that's because it is. What this means is that Game UK is bracing itself for collapse. When I was searching what this really means, I found out that it's actually a very big thing. Companies don't usually file for notice of intention unless it's in dire situations. This filing essentially provides the company a 10-day legal protection from creditors during which they can decide what to do next. Sell parts of their company, restructure, look for someone else to own the company. Basically, the last-ditch effort to stay afloat. This is usually one of the final steps before full administration. When the filing went public, many people started panicking because it never ends well. To restructure or sell would mean they would have to close several of their locations. That would be on top of the many that they already sold previously. This would also mean that many jobs would be lost as well. We've seen this with many other retailers before too. Game UK was slowly reducing its physical stores before. It went fairly unnoticed as less and less people visit game stores these days. But now with all this attention, people are pointing out all the closed game stores. While people are upset that this was their childhood store getting shut down, not many would be affected by it. People don't buy physical copies anymore. Even the people who buy the cases get a code to download the game and not the actual CD for it, which is sad too. I knew game stores, not Game UK, but gaming retailer stores in general would go out of business, but to see it happening right now and so fast is really weird. While I have no connections with Game UK, it still feels bad. While this story might seem like it came out of nowhere, at least it did for me, but it has been brewing for the past several months. Game UK didn't wake up one day and decided to discontinue their franchise or close their stores. The shrink in their business was slow at start. A few stores closing here and there, no one noticed, but recently their restructuring was very aggressive. Over the past few months alone, around 40 Game UK stores across the country shut their doors, and these were not smaller ones either. Major locations which sold many games every month were being shut down. Central locations like that in Trafford Centre, Metro Centre, Bristol, Basingstoke were closed, which made people fear the possibility of the company going down altogether. This also did mean a few good things for gamers. Their stocks were heavily discounted. Every item in the store was given out cheap to recuperate as much as they could before shutting down. Game UK now is almost invisible. They mainly have a few shelves inside Sports Direct or House of Fraser, not like physical huge retailer stores where people would have spent literally hours browsing games. Revenue has been sliding year after year. Physical game sales across the UK have dropped hard as more people move to digital downloads and online stores. Game UK's entire business was built around discs, trade-ins, and in-person browsing. When that disappears, the numbers fall apart fast. Renting a game is also not really a thing anymore, mostly because of Xbox Game Pass, which is way cheaper and offers way more games. I mean, is gaming actually going to die? I feel like it's becoming more of a rich person's hobby rather than something people could enjoy nowadays. Studios have been making games which lag even in 5090 setups. Requirements to play even in pixelated settings are now in the range of 3070s. And then there are these stories about retailers closing because people don't buy games from them anymore. It's getting scarier every day. In 2019, Game UK was bought by Frasers Group, the retail company owned by Mike Ashley. At the time, the takeover was seen as a rescue. Game UK was already struggling, and Frasers stepped in to keep the brand alive. But that takeover also changed how Game UK was run and what the company focused on. This purchase, however, changed everything for the company. They started transitioning from being big retail stores to small concessions, mainly inside Sports Direct or House of Fraser stores, a few shelves reserved for them to sell their products. The idea behind it was simple enough: cut rent costs, reduce risk, and keep the brand visible without paying for full shops. And it worked. I mean, working is an overstatement. It kept them afloat till now. There were still some stores till then. It was not like every retailer store was demolished. But slowly, as sales depleted, more stores became a few shelves inside Sports Direct. It changed everything, this move. Game UK went from being a place to gather for games to something you can sometimes stumble upon when browsing through other stuff. This also reduced a lot of jobs, as tending to a few shelves would not require multiple full-time employees. Even the loyalty program, which rewarded regular customers, was shut down. Many people reported, or at least I read it somewhere, that this reward program was the main reason they visited retailer stores. Now, since it's no longer available, there was one less reason to ever go into a retailer. Also, it's like stating the obvious, but people just buy games online now. It takes a few seconds, and boom, your game is now installed. Like, there's no point going out to socialize. As gamers, socializing is our biggest fear anyway, right? I'm just joking, but in all fairness, there was no reason to touch grass anymore. I'm trying to incorporate these terms, so please don't judge me if I say them incorrectly. Although I'm not old, I don't really use these lingos, so just for fun and for the sake of connecting, I thought why not try using these words. Anyway, coming back, no reason to buy physical copies, no loyalty programs, and very few retail stores all contributed to the situation that the company is facing right now. So the big question now is, what does this actually mean for gamers? If Game does go into full administration, a few things can happen. Best case, parts of the business get saved. Some stores stay open, maybe the brand survives in a smaller form. Worst case, administrators start shutting things down fast, selling off what they can, and closing anything that stops making money. That usually means more stores gone, especially the weaker ones. That's the part people forget sometimes. Behind every Game UK store are staff who actually cared about games. People who helped parents pick the right console, who talked players through releases, who lived that culture. If administration happens, a lot of those jobs sit on very shaky ground. Physical game retail jobs already feel rare, and this would shrink that space even more. For gamers, it also means fewer places to walk into and just browse. Fewer shelves, fewer midnight launches, fewer moments where buying a game felt like an event instead of a download bar filling up on a screen. Even now, many towns already have 0 dedicated game stores left. The market has moved hard toward digital. Consoles push downloads, online stores undercut prices, supermarkets pulled back from selling games, even other big chains like GameStop have already disappeared from many regions. Physical game buying is slowly turning into a niche hobby instead of the default. Like, we can actually see some of the PS3 games being sold like antiques. I mean, like what? I remember PS3 and Xbox 360 were my childhood, and not even that old. If Game UK struggles to survive, it sends a message that even the biggest specialist gaming store in the UK can't fight that shift anymore. I don't really know how many people would even watch this and feel nostalgic. I don't feel connected to Game UK, but gaming stores in general getting closed made me want to rant out about it. What do you think of this one? Do you still buy physical copies? Have you ever bought any physical copies? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know if there are people visiting these stores with a purpose to buy something instead of just browsing around. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button. YouTube thinks you might like this video popping up on your screen right now, so give that one a try as well. I am sure you will like it. See you in the next one.